It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day over here in Brooklyn, New York. The sun's shining. The birds are chirping.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere faintly in the distance, you can hear a homeless man taking a shit on the sidewalk.
You can. You can.
So it's a great day to do a podcast about Def Jam Records.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what we're doing.
Oh, yeah. It's always a good time to talk about Def Jam, like a pioneer force in the hip-hop industry.
Yeah. I
Definitely.
mean, it's just it's crazy. Like the whole, like, yeah, hip hop as a business would not exist how it does without Def Jam. Like, it would have happened in some way.
Yeah.
But in this reality where we live in,
Yeah.
it just wouldn't have been the same without Def Jam.
Yeah.
There's just no way.
Yeah, like I feel like Def Jam really solidified everything because that was like the hip hop label.
Yeah.
You know, whereas like other small labels and record companies, you know, when they were probably just signing new hip hop acts, they probably had a bunch of R&B acts as well, or a bunch of like, you know, doo-wop acts too, or something like that. Because we're talking about the 80s here, you know what I'm saying? So they probably like, oh yeah, I'll sign this guy. But Def Jam was like, you know, we only deal with hip hop, basically.
Well, I feel like if we're really gonna do this, we should talk about the two of them like separately, and then how they like came together.
Rick and Russell.
Of Rick and Russell.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause
should they have called it Rick and Russell Records?
R&R? R&R? Yo. Possibly.
It's like Barnum and Bailey. Rick and Russell.
Ricky and Russell. Making all the music. But,
Yeah.
okay, so who do you want to start with?
Let's start with Rick. Yeah, I always just say back when Rick used to be so handsome. Let's start with Rick though. No offense, Rick, you're still handsome now.
Siva had a crush on Rick, no big deal.
I did, and a couple of other people on Def Jam as well. But we'll talk about them.
Yeah. So okay, so Rick is from Long Island.
Uh-huh.
He's from the island, out on the island over there,
Yep.
doing all kinds of island things.
Yes.
And the dude, I don't really know too much about his like early life, but it's just he clearly just loved music. He had such a passion for music, and he like his initial like outlet of music was he was in a punk band.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really interesting because like for somebody that like I guess isn't a music, you know, historian in the way that we are, doesn't know as much about music, somebody might see punk rock and hip hop and think that they're really different.
Right.
But they're really not.
Not at all.
They're really basically the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Like,
and first of all, they're both rooted in Jamaica, which is odd.
I feel like, I don't know, it's just so interesting because like, well, especially at this time, it's like hip hop really only existed in New York City.
Yeah, at this particular time.
I mean, we're talking very early 80s. Hip hop
Yes.
started in the South Bronx.
Yes.
And it's so at this time it's like hip hop is really like a New York thing. Like maybe if you had like a cousin in New York or some shit, like you
Yes.
could kind of know about it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a national thing.
Right.
It wasn't a worldwide thing. It was pretty much like a New York phenomenon.
Yeah.
So Rick was around all of that like while he's in, you know, the punk space as well. And he's kind of like this is all the similar. Like it's all like the same kind of attitude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he recognized that and he's just kind of like, all right, these things like go together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he started Def Jam in his dorm room at NYU.
Yes.
And he was just making beats on like whatever drum machine they had at the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, well, we got to talk about Russell, obviously, but he started it by himself in his dorm room. And it was just because of his passion for music. He wasn't like, oh, I'm going to turn this into the biggest label ever or
No.
whatever. He was like, this is what I'm trying to make, and this is how I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then on the other side,
We have Russell.
we got Russell.
Yeah.
He's from Hollis, right?
Yes.
What is Hollis like? Do you know I've never been there. Like,
I've never been there, but these are parts of Queens that are not Jamaica. Queens, you know, not the South Side, like where 50
Yeah.
is from. So looks very, you know, I was going to say clean. I mean, because you couldn't say that in the city. So these are parts of Queens, like by Astoria, I think northern Queens, that just look a little bit more cleaner. Chances are that Russell grew up in a home with a front yard and a backyard, a driveway, and two parents in the house. That's basically what I'm saying.
yeah, I've always heard of Hollis as being kind of more like suburban.
Yes. Yes.
But I've never been there, so.
Pretty. Yeah, like Astoria, Hollis, like the places where Kid and Play, Salt and Pepper, and like Run DMC are from are nice areas.
Right.
They're nice areas.
So Hollis is almost Long Island.
Yeah, because that's the come up, right? You're in Queens, and then when you get money, you can go out on the island.
Right. Well, I feel like that's interesting because I feel like you get money and you're either going to go into Manhattan or you're going to go further out on the island.
Right.
But nobody's going to stay in Queens.
No one's going to stay in Queens. No. I mean, it depends.
That's not how this works, all right?
Yeah, but there's some excellent parts of Queens that you wouldn't even think was New York City.
True.
Honest to goodness.
Okay, so that's where Russell's from.
Mm-hmm.
So Russell is a little bit older than Rick, and he was a very pivotal figure in the start of hip hop. And before we even get like farther into it, we have to acknowledge, I want to just get this out of the way with Russell. He's been accused of rape, and then he fled the country and went to a place where there's no extradition treaty with the United States. We got to say it. I wasn't there. I don't know exactly what happened, but we can't just act like that hasn't happened.
Right. Is he there right now?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe he's in Bali. so we had to say that. But we're talking about Def Jam. We're talking about how this all came together. We can't tell the story of Def Jam without telling the story of Russell. It's just impossible. Mm-hmm. So Russell was a huge figure in the start of hip hop and becoming like a business, because hip hop was something that grew out of the streets.
Yeah.
And there were like we were saying, there weren't hip hop record labels. It wasn't like a commercial thing. Like it was just something that people were doing on the street. And Russell kind of became like a manager of a bunch of different artists, and he kind of was like, had the business sense of be like, okay, something is clearly happening here. Mm-hmm. We need to kind of legitimize it. We need to be able to make this a business in a way, right? Yeah. So I know he managed like Curtis Blow.
Yes.
Who had like one of the first rap songs ever recorded, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, there were people before Curtis Blow. I believe he was he's one of few solo acts back in the day, because remember it was like Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, and then it was like the Treacherous Three, and but he was like, he stood alone, Curtis Blow, by himself, and it's like it's crazy that he's basically somebody that nobody talks about now, but he is basically, he's pretty much
all the breaks.
Yeah, every rapper wants to be crowned king of New York at one point in time, and Curtis Blow was definitely a king of New York at one point.
True. And Russell managed him.
Yes.
And so who else did Russell manage before Def Jam? Russell also managed Run DMC.
Yeah.
Who his brother is part of.
Right, his brother.
Houdini, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's got to be other ones.
Yeah, there are definitely other ones. That I don't. But it was other groups, and Run DMC was one of the main ones that he was managing, and just wanted. I forgot who else it was, but it's somebody that even back then I didn't know who it was. I forgot the name. Sorry, person.
Sorry, guy. Okay, yeah. So Russell was like, he was really making shit happen.
Yeah.
As far as hip hop, and it's like, this is what I've read at, doing research about it, is like Rick knew who Russell was, because obviously Rick was into hip hop, and like Russell was basically the face of hip hop at the time.
Yeah.
Because the way that it was, like, I read it, is Rick was basically saying, like, if you were trying to put on a hip hop show in New York City, you had to talk to Russell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he was like a driving force before Def Jam.
Yeah.
So then at the same time, Rick, they didn't know each other, right? So you have Russell over here doing his thing, like he's all in the business of music, trying to make, hip hop into a business.
Yeah.
And then you have Rick over here who's just all about the music. And so Rick literally started Def Jam in his dorm room, and he's making beats and shit. And the record that really made him, like, people notice him was It's Yours.
Yeah.
By, what was it, Tila Rock? Something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I only knew that song before because I knew that Nas sampled it.
Yeah.
It's yours. You know what I mean? I knew it from that. But I didn't realize how big of a deal that single was.
Yeah.
For what came out of it.
Right, exactly. Because I didn't know the song either. Like, with, like, Def Jam, like, the artists that I know are, like, technically younger, like, you know what I'm saying, and I didn't know, like, Tila Rock, but I did know that was the sample, and I still to this day have never heard that full song.
I didn't hear it until yesterday. like looking up research for this, I'm like, I should listen to it, and it's clearly a Def Jam beat.
Yeah,
like it's clearly an 80s Def Jam beat.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But it's cool the way that it happened. So what was it? It was DJ Jazzy J was made that happen because he knew Rick somehow, I think.
Yeah,
and he knew Tila Rock.
Right. Yeah, it's like I feel like it's just one of those things where there are only so many places that you can go to hear some hip hop in the city.
Right.
So
right.
There's only so many faces that you're gonna see after a while, and because it's such a small market, you could shoot up very quickly to the main guy. Like you just had to get in. Like I remember simple things, just like writing magazines, and I wrote, like, my mom was a news editor, and I was like, oh, I want to write this Caribbean article so I can get free tickets to this concert, and it just goes like that.
Okay.
It just snowballs after. So I feel like that was there because I know. Well, I mean, Russell and them's father was a reverend, so I don't know, but I'm pretty sure, like, a reverend in a neighborhood knows everybody.
So was the guy in Run DMC. He was a reverend, right?
So I'm pretty sure that's how Russell was able to, like, get his hustle on. Because, like, the preacher's kid and the teacher's kid, they're always, like, little mayors in a way, They're little politicians. Yes.
They know everybody.
Yes.
So, okay, so they put out... so Rick Rubin put out It's Yours with Tila Rock. So something that I learned about this and was actually super interesting. So this is like the first Def Jam release, and literally like this is before they had any kind of distribution deal or anything. The address that was on the Def Jam like sleeve was Rick's dorm room.
That's awesome.
So that record was a big deal because nothing really sounded exactly like it before that. So one of the young people that heard that record and wanted to get involved with this was a young man by the name of LL Cool J.
Who I also had a crush on.
I mean, who doesn't, right?
I love LL Cool J.
Hey, ladies love Cool J, But so LL literally mailed him a demo tape to his dorm room.
Yeah.
Because he didn't know, because it's like, think about it, like if you just see like, oh, Def Jam Records, you don't know who this is. You're just like, oh, Def Jam, this is a great song. You just send it. You don't know that it's going to a dorm room. You don't know anything. No. You're just like, oh, I'm going to send him my demo.
Yeah.
So you know what else? Something I realized doing research for this, something that was really interesting. Guess who Rick's friend was that would listen to all the demos?
Who?
Ad Rock.
I that just came out of my mouth. It's always Ad Rock. It's
always Ad Rock.
It's always him.
So I don't know exactly, Ad Rock from the Beastie Boys, if y'all don't know. So I don't know exactly how Rick and Ad Rock met.
I mean, yeah, because these guys are from the city and Rick's from out there.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's just like it's a thing. You just end up gravitating towards each other. I'm pretty sure if we were in that small thing and there were only like 2 other Caribbean girls from like Brooklyn, like I would probably find my way towards them. Like, you know what I mean?
Things would have brought you together at some point.
Yeah. So
basically, Ad Rock would be chilling with Rick in his dorm room, aka Def Jam headquarters, and he would listen to all the demo tapes, and he heard LL's demo tape and was just like, "Yo, Rick, check this fucking kid out." You know what I mean? So Ad Rock is directly responsible for LL being signed to Def Jam.
Yeah.
Which I think is crazy.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
And that was, if I could say, that was like one of the best things that was meant to be. First of all, he just left Def Jam, just quote unquote, like LL, like, when Jay-Z came over, like LL Cool J was so huge and he was so
and sexy,
right, and then so young and fresh and like confident. And then also funny. Very, very funny.
He was only 17. He was only 17 when he sent this demo to Rick.
Absolutely. And you could see he was just a baby. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, there were so many things about LL. LL is like the first 50 Cent. And it's no coincidence that they're both from Queens. It's probably like a thing. But you know how 50 Cent kind of like trolls people and he's mischievous and stuff? LL was like that. You know what I'm saying? So it was funny all the time. I mean, he was a mystery too because he had the hat on his head all the time, so people would be like, he's got 5 lumps on his forehead, he's bald, and he's only 19.
That's funny.
There were so many things, but what a great act LL was. There was a versus the other day between KRS-One and Big Daddy Kane, and they were saying how one of them should have battled LL, and I was just like, that's not gonna happen. LL could have stopped. That versus could have happened and LL could have stopped in 1990. and would have destroyed them. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the whole crowd would have went crazy. Like,
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
so true.
But what a great artist.
Mama's gonna knock
LL
you
was.
out.
Oh my gosh.
Don't call it a comeback.
Exactly.
I've been here for years.
When that came out, it was his comeback. Like, he had been gone for so long, and then he came back, and he was huge. And people were like, what?
Jacked.
Yeah.
Knocking motherfuckers out.
Yeah, LL was great. What the F? I thought I conquered the world. Cry. What? Crush Mo D, Hamlet, and Ice-T's girl. Like, that is the biggest joke ever. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, no, LL is great, and we'll talk more about him as we go on, obviously.
Right.
But this so many things happened from that It's Yours record. LL saw it, sent the demo to Rick,
and became huge.
And somebody else that saw that record was Russell.
Yep.
So Russell knew DJ Jazzy J, who made the record with Rick.
Yeah.
And he heard that, and he was just like, yo, you got to introduce me to this guy.
Yeah.
Because he knew right away, because Russell is the business guy. He's not... We were talking about this a few days ago. He's not like the music guy.
No.
But he's got an eye for talent.
Right. His voice can be heard on some records way back in the day and stuff like that, just like saying stuff. But he's
like
not...
That, like the Diddy roll.
Right. But he's not
Yeah.
trying to be all up in your videos.
But no, so that's what I'm saying. It's just really cool because Russell was not the music guy, but he knew who was. Like, he could recognize it.
Yeah.
And he heard that record and was like... Whoever made this is what I got to get involved with this.
Would you say Russell had an ear for talent?
I would say he had an ear and an eye for talent.
Okay.
So he was like, yo, I got to meet this guy. And this also made me laugh. So they set up a meeting. Jazzy J set up the meeting with Rick and Russell was like, holy shit, these beats were so fire, I couldn't believe it was a white dude. So they met, and like obviously I guess they just hit it off or whatever. Obviously Rick's passion for music must have just shown through.
Yeah.
So they ended up going back to the dorm room, and Rick shows Russell the beats that he's been working on, and Russell is like, these are all hits. Like, this is crazy. Like, this kid is like 18 in a dorm room making fucking hits. Like, these are bangers. And Russell was already, so like we said, he was already like a big deal in hip hop. Like, he was like Rick knew who he was.
Yes.
And he was a couple years older than him. And you know, when you're like 18, like a 5-year age gap is kind of a lot.
Oh yeah.
So Rick was like, oh my God, I can't believe like Russell wants to like be a part of this. You know what I mean? So he was so happy to have that. And Russell is just like, this kid is the truth. You know what I mean? He was dealing with other labels, like managing other bands and shit, or crews, or whatever you want to call them. But when he met Rick, he was just like, this is where I need to focus my energy